There's an absolutely terrible situation unfolding at the border that we have to talk about. Central American migrants were looking to come through a border crossing between Tijuana and California. It's called the San Ysidro Port of Entry, and the U.S. suspended pedestrian crossings. Now, they've since opened it up, but at the time, they suspended pedestrian crossings. Well, what happened was there were some poverty-stricken people fleeing extreme violence and desperation who were trying to get in, and Border Patrol began shooting tear gas at them. So the White House recently requested that the deployment of thousands of troops happen to the border so that we make sure we stop these, evil immigrants who are trying to get in here. And Trump actually signed a proclamation that would prevent some of the people from the caravan trying to get asylum. So, in other words, we have a process in place, and he's trying to undercut that process and change that process. To say, no, let's not have the process. I want to just kind of reject more people out of hand. Okay, well, that's not good. Take a look at this picture because I think this says a lot. So this is, a mother with her kids running away from the tear gas. Unfortunately, the tear gas had an immediate effect on a lot of these people. Some of the kids were crying and had trouble breathing. So she had to take her kids and run away. I like what Jordan Ewell said about this on Twitter. He said, quoting the Bible here, "For I was hungry and you fed me, I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink, I was a stranger and you invited me in, I needed clothes and you clothed me, I was sick and you looked after me, I was in prison and you came to visit me." Matthew 25:35-36. And he says, "Merry Christmas" underneath that. So listen, man, the issue of immigration, I've given you guys my take on it before. I do consider myself relatively moderate on that issue. And what that means is I do believe that we should have a process set up where when people come in, you figure out if it makes sense to allow them to be here. In many instances, people are going to be looking for asylum. They're going to be refugees, and they're going to go through that process, and we're going to determine, they should be able to stay here. And they deserve that chance. And in some cases, that's not the case. Some cases you'll go, nah, it's not true that, you deserve asylum. And I believe in an efficient, strong process to take care of that, and to take care of it ASAP. And so I do consider myself a moderate. I'm in favor of deporting people who are violent criminals. And I think that pretty much everybody on the left should take that position. Now, I know there are people who are to the left of me and actually believe in open borders. I don't believe in open borders. I just don't. There's the old saying, if you want a welfare state, you can't have open borders. You have to make a choice. So for example, there are some libertarians who don't believe in borders. They believe in having totally free flow of labor and immigration across borders. And their reasoning is, well, we don't like welfare states. We don't believe in welfare states. We have a totally free market, laissez-faire capitalist system. So you go wherever you want. But if you have a welfare state, you need to have some degree of control of borders. It is what it is. Or else you're advertising to everybody, hey, yeah, you can come here and use our welfare state and no questions asked. It's all good. So I do believe in having a reasonable process in place. But this is not a reasonable process. In fact, when people get to the border and they're, again, poverty-stricken people escaping extreme violence in their countries, oftentimes because of the drug war and because the U.S. destabilized these countries. When they get here, they're going through a process. The whole point is, I am here now and I am going to apply for asylum. So for you to shoot tear gas at them, well, you're the one that's disrupting the process. They're not disrupting the process. Listen, all people are asking for is a bare minimum amount of basic decency towards other people. Because that was all us at one point or another. You go far enough back in your lineage, and all of us were desperate at some point looking for help from somewhere. And that doesn't mean you don't earn your keep and you don't, become part of the system and do your best to assimilate and, work your way up some sort of an economic ladder, whatever opportunities are provided to you there. But this is definitely a situation where people are being mistreated and they need help and they're not getting it. They're getting fucking tear gas shot at them, which is nuts, which makes no sense. And it's always hilarious that, you have these people on the right who cloak themselves in Christianity, and they always seem to act the least Christian in terms of Jesus in most examples in the New Testament. The idea of like caring about people, the idea of not being a dick. You know, this quote that Jordan Ewell pulled up is a perfect quote. We've spoken about how in the Bible they talk about the sojourner in many different parts, about how you need to treat them like they're your family. That, you know, that's immigrant. Like, look after these people, treat them like they're your family. Be kind to them. And again, I'm not saying, hey, if you let them in, everybody's going to be able to stay, full stop. No, I'm saying let's treat them like human beings, and let's make sure we have a process in place, and we determine who can stay here and who doesn't stay here. But the entire time, we don't ever betray basic ethical values and moral values. And I mean, again, even if you're somebody who's not generally in favor of a left position on borders, how do you not see that shooting tear gas at women and children is a terrible idea? Because it is. And again, the root problem that we have to get to here is to stop creating refugees in the first place. Because we've seen this nonstop. The absolute destruction of the Middle East, largely brought about by the U.S. war on terror. The repeated destabilizing of governments in South America. If you don't understand that, then you need to learn the history on it, because it's real as a heart attack. So we always do this. We always destabilize governments. We always wage interventionist regime change wars. We always have been pushing the drug war for decades, which has led to extremely powerful drug gangs that are ruining people's lives. And then when people come here, we go, oh, God, why are you coming here? How dare you? No. That we don't get to do that. That is massively hypocritical, and it's dumb. So treat these people humanely. Have a process in place. Certainly don't shoot tear gas at it. That's not a lot to ask for. Hey, don't shoot tear gas at children. Like, oh, wow, what a radical you are. What a commie you are. No, that's just being doing the bare minimum of being a decent person and being an ethical person and a moral person. And it's really sad to watch stuff like this happen. It's not right. And that's not to say that, oh, Obama's record on immigration was wonderful and Trump's is terrible. No, this isn't a partisan point. This is a point about basic morality. And it's a shame that it still has to be made.